the threat to LGBTQ, Jewish, and Asian Americans is high and rising. And it's long past time for the president, Congress, and all of us as Americans to start facing it all like the true national security threat that it is. Imagine if al-Qaeda did 2 attacks in 3 days in 2002. Imagine if these were not radicalized white extremists or radicalized teenagers or radicalized disgruntled workers, but imagine if these attackers were radicalized Muslim extremists. Imagine how our country would have responded if al-Qaeda had done this in 2002. Back when America banned pocket knives on planes and made all of us take our shoes off every time we went through a gate, and everyone was on guard. Remember, if you see something, say something? Remember when America passed the Patriot Act, spied on our people, and created the entire Department of Homeland Security? Shit, we invaded and occupied 2 countries, supposedly, to prevent attacks on Americans by extremists. But here, now, in 2022, more Americans are being killed than were ever killed by radical Islamic extremists from the Middle East or anywhere else. More kids are being killed than American service members were killed in Iraq and Afghanistan. In 2001, 2002, 2003, we mobilized our entire country, our entire military, our entire FBI, and most of our international allies to stop attacks against Americans on our homeland. And here, in 2022, 20 years later, we do nothing. There's no national strategy. There's no national response. There's no national call to action. To fight terrorists that hijacked planes and killed 2,996 Americans, we started 2 wars, at least one of which was terribly misguided. Those 2 wars, really one gigantic extended global forever war, also killed over 7,000 U.S. service members. All to fight terrorists, all to stop them over there before they killed us over here. And now in 2022, the most recent year for which complete data is available, 45,222 people died from gun-related injuries in the U.S., according to the CDC. So we lost 4 times the number of people in the U.S. to gun violence every year than we lost in the so-called fight against terrorism. And the unseen losses in those numbers? Suicides. In 2020, 54% of all gun-related deaths in the U.S. were suicides. 43% were murders. And the rest that year were unintentional, involved law enforcement, or were unknown. But the total loss to gun violence in 1 year was over 45,000 Americans. That's about the same number of civilians that have been killed in Ukraine so far in the war. We lose that number every year in America, and that number continues to climb. But we have no war on gun violence. We have no war on mass shootings. We had a war on drugs that locked up millions of people for simply possessing marijuana. We had a war on poverty that doesn't look like we won. And we had a war on terror that swallowed our country's focus for 2 decades. But now, as kids and neighbors and friends are slaughtered, nothing. We don't have a strategy to fight back. Our national strategy right now is to surrender, to let the enemy keep coming, to let the enemy keep killing our kids, killing our parents, killing our friends, killing our neighbors every day and in every way. Yet there's no national response whatsoever to fight this enemy. There's no war on the terror of 2022, gun violence. But that's the level of security focus we need now to protect our fellow Americans. It's about guns. Make no mistake, it's about guns. But it's also about hate. It's about organized extremist groups. And it's about Trump and the American insurgency. It's all interconnected. And it's about time this country recognized that it's all a national security threat. And our enemies are celebrating. Every time Americans kill other Americans, Putin is celebrating. Every time somebody walks into a place and slaughters fellow Americans, Kim Jong-un is celebrating. As gun violence continues to slaughter Americans, our enemies are celebrating. They don't have to do anything. They can just sit back and watch. But this Thanksgiving, we need a plan to fight back. We need a national security-focused strategy from all parts of government and society. We need a war on gun violence. Congress never formally declared war after 9/11 on Iraq or Afghanistan or terrorism or Al-Qaeda. But maybe Congress can exercise that power now. Maybe they can do their job and defend the American people from enemies foreign and domestic. And maybe our president can lead on it, because it's long past time for this country to get serious and to truly stay vigilant.